naked, running around this cul-de-sac screaming. Because, she was this uptight Swiss string and she thought she'd lost her mind, which in effect she had. But my all-time favorite personal experience was, I used to make my living as the world's fastest typist, and I worked for attorneys, and I could type a couple hundred words a minute, and by the way, the greatest enhancement drug for typing is pot. You go into the right side of your brain. I'd smoke a shitload or eat an edible, and I could type for 5 or 6 hours. I didn't even know I was doing it because I was a speed reader too. So I'd worked at this firm for a couple months, and the woman who managed it gave a party at her house in like Walnut Creek or somewhere. So I made a bunch of brownies, as I always did for parties, and I drew a cartoon sign. And this sign had a guy put a brownie in his mouth, a quarter of one. I said, the sign, 8 by 12, clearly said, and this is like a sociological experiment I always did, do not eat more than a quarter to begin with. You'll get too loaded. And in my experience, that meant that virtually everybody did, whether they ever had one in their life. And if they were boomers, they'd had those brownies in the 60s where you just threw all the seeds and stems in and they crunched, they cut your throat when you ate them, and they didn't get you very high. So they were thinking, well, if he's saying a quarter, I'll eat a half or the whole thing. And so after a couple hours, and people would eat, one woman was crying. Another guy was down on his knees, and they'd eaten a whole brownie. And these people had drool at the side of their mouth. And, you can only get so high, of course.
Before you pass out.
Well, yeah, it's just marijuana. Like, I think it was James Elroy wrote that trying to get some, like, psychedelic high on goddamn marijuana is like trying to get to the moon on mayonnaise. Well, that was my rationalization anyway. So there was a Mormon girl who worked in the word processing center. And I obviously not a religious type, but I've always been a little partial to Mormons because in my limited experience, they really did practice the golden rule. And I thought it was crazy never getting high, but that's their business.